Space is big. Really big. You just won't believe how vastly, hugely, mind-bogglingly big it is. Okay, so maybe today's deep dive isn't about space travel, but it is about exploring something just as vast and complex.
Our relationship with our phones. Think of this like your very own Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Right.
But for navigating the digital world, we're going to unpack a fascinating master's thesis by Tanner Christensen from Stanford University.
Oh, cool.
He wrote it back in 2020. That really digs into the why behind our smartphone use.
It's a deep dive into the motivations, the forces that shape our habits, both on a personal level and a much broader societal one.
Right, because let's face it, there's a lot of anxiety around how much time we spend on our phones.
Yeah.
Like, I remember reading Professor Mark Williams saying smartphones are making us stupid. It kind of makes you want to chuck your phone into the nearest black hole, doesn't it?
It's tempting, isn't it?
Yeah.
But Professor Candace Odgers reminds us that it's not so simple.
Right.
Just like in the Hitchhiker's Guide.
Yeah. Where the answer to life, the universe, and everything is 42.
Right.
A number that's pretty meaningless without context. Right?
Totally.
So instead of panicking, Christensen encourages us to explore the nuances.
I like that. No need to panic. Just grab our digital towels.
Right.
And dive in.
Exactly.
And a big part of Christensen's approach relies on this really cool research project happening at Stanford.
Yes.
The Human Screenome Project.
Yes. The Human Screenome Project is revolutionary, really.
Oh, wow.
It's like they're creating a map, but instead of charting stars and planets, they're charting how people actually use their phone.
Really?
Down to every swipe and tap.
That's wild. They're getting that granular with it.
Absolutely. And the findings are fascinating. But before we jump into those, let's think back to a theory you might have heard of, uses and gratifications theory, or UGT.
Okay.
It's a classic in communication study.
Okay. I vaguely remember UGT. Refresh my memory.
Basically, it says that people choose media, like specific apps on your phone based on what needs they fulfill. It's kind of like packing your spaceship's toolkit.
Okay.
You wouldn't use a sonic screwdriver for every repair, would you?
Definitely not. You'd need different tools for different jobs.
Exactly.
Right.
So you might use one app for connecting with friends, another for getting news, and yet another for escaping into a good book.
I see. So UGT is saying our app choices are driven by our individual needs and desires.
Precisely. And what's fascinating is that this plays out on a massive scale.
Okay.
The Human Screenome Project found that participants used over 6,500 different apps.
6,500. Wow, that's mind-boggling. Makes you wonder what those researchers thought when they saw that data.
Right.
I mean, it's one thing to theorize about people's motivations, but to see it in action like that.
It's a powerful reminder of just how diverse our needs and interests are.
Wow.
It's like looking at a galaxy of individual choices, each reflecting a unique journey through the digital world. Think about your own phone for a moment. What are your top 3 go-to apps, and what needs do they fulfill for you?
Good question. I'd have to say my music streaming app is up there. Gotta have those tunes for my interstellar travels.
Of course.
Then there's my meditation app, because even space explorers need some downtime.
Absolutely.
And of course, my messaging app to stay connected with friends, family, and fellow deep divers like you.
I love that. It perfectly illustrates how those core motivations, connection, relaxation, entertainment, drive our app choices. And it ties into a concept called UGT 2.0.
UGT 2.0, is that like an upgrade for the digital age?
Exactly. Researchers Sundar and Limperos recognized that the original UGT needed a bit of an update to account for the complexities of the internet and social media.
Yeah.
So UGT 2.0 factors in things like how we present ourselves online, how we connect with others, and even how we cope with the constant flow of information.
Okay, that makes sense. It's not just about passively consuming content anymore. It's about actively engaging and creating.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another important piece of the puzzle, the network society.
Ah, the network society.
Yeah.
It sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi novel.
It kind of is.
Yeah?
It's this idea that our world is increasingly interconnected through digital networks.
Right.
And our phones are at the heart of it.
Okay.
Think of it as a galaxy of interconnected individuals constantly communicating, sharing, and influencing each other.
It's like that feeling of being plugged into a massive invisible web.
Exactly. And this has a huge impact on how we use our phones.
Oh, I bet.
For example, it's reshaping the very nature of relationships. I read this heartwarming story about 2 best friends who met online through their shared love of K-pop. They connected online for years, sharing their lives, supporting each other, before finally meeting in person. Technology facilitated that entire friendship.
That's incredible. It's a perfect example of how our phones can connect us with people we might never have met otherwise, breaking down geographical barriers and creating new possibilities for friendship.
It really highlights how the network society is changing the game.
Yeah.
And this ties into another concept Christensen explores: networked individualism.
Okay, break this down for me. Networked individualism. It sounds a bit paradoxical.
It is a bit of a paradox.
Yeah.
On one hand, we're more connected than ever before,
Right.
but on the other hand, we have more control over those connections.
Interesting.
We choose who we connect with, when we connect, and how we connect.
So it's like having the freedom to build your own little corner of the galaxy, choosing your own crew and charting your own course.
I love that analogy. It captures the essence perfectly more. Networked individualism is about having agency within this vast interconnected world.
Okay.
It's about curating our online experiences to reflect our individual needs and desires. How has the network society changed your communication habits? It's definitely something to ponder.
It's definitely made me more aware of the choices I make,
Right.
like who I follow online, what groups I join, even what I share. It feels like there's more responsibility that comes with being so connected.
That's a great point. With increased connectivity comes increased responsibility.
Yeah.
And that's something to keep in mind as we move into the next part of our deep dive,
Okay.
where we'll explore the less utopian side of the digital galaxy,
Oh.
the corporate motivations behind our smartphone use.
Okay, buckle up, everyone. It sounds like we're heading into some potentially treacherous territory.
It's a bit like venturing into uncharted space, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Shoshana Zuboff's concept of surveillance capitalism.
Okay.
It sounds a bit ominous, but it's a really important idea to grapple with when we're talking about smartphones.
Okay, surveillance capitalism. Lay it on me.
Yeah.
What exactly does that mean?
In the simplest terms, it's the idea that some companies think big tech giants
Right.
collect and analyze our data
Yeah.
to predict and influence our behavior, all in the name of profit.
Wait, so they're not just tracking what we do, they're trying to manipulate us.
That's the unsettling part. It's like they're building these incredibly sophisticated algorithms
Yeah.
that can figure out what we're going to do before we even know ourselves.
It's kind of creepy when you put it like that.
Yeah.
Like, how much do they actually know about us?
It's more than you might think. Remember that story about Target predicting a teenager's pregnancy based on her shopping habits?
Yeah.
They sent her coupons for baby products before her own family knew.
Yeah, I remember that story. It was all over the news. But that's just marketing, right?
Right.
It's not like they're controlling our minds or anything.
True. It's not mind control, but it is a form of influence.
Right.
And it's getting more sophisticated all the time.
I bet.
Think about those personalized notifications you get. The ones that seem to know exactly what you're thinking about or what you need at that moment.
Okay. Yeah, those can be a little too accurate sometimes. Like the other day, I got a notification from my favorite online store
Oh, yeah.
for a sale on the exact pair of shoes I was just browsing.
Wow.
It was freaky.
Exactly. And that's the point. By using our data to create these hyper-personalized experiences,
Yeah.
companies can nudge us towards certain choices, certain purchases, without us even realizing it.
So what can we do about it? Are we just doomed to be pawns in this game of surveillance capitalism?
Not necessarily. Awareness is a powerful tool.
Right.
The more we understand how these systems work, the more agency we have. We can start by being more mindful of the data we share,
Right.
the apps we use, and the notifications we allow.
So it's about taking back control of our digital lives, just like a seasoned space traveler would chart their own course through the galaxy.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we have choices.
Yeah.
We can choose to opt out of certain data collection practices.
Right.
We can choose to limit our screen time, and we can choose to focus on apps and activities that align with our values and goals.
I like that, making conscious choices. But let's be real, those notifications can be pretty tempting,
Oh, yeah.
especially the ones from social media. It's like they're calling out to us,
Right?
promising connection and entertainment.
I get it. It's like the siren song of the digital world constantly luring us in.
Exactly. Are those notifications just distress signals from our friends? Or are they something more sinister like those mythical sirens trying to shipwreck us on the shores of distraction?
It's a great analogy. And it highlights the double-edged sword of notifications.
Right.
On one hand, they can be incredibly helpful. Think about those emergency alerts,
Right.
weather warnings, or even just those reminders to call your mom on her birthday.
Oh, yeah.
They can keep us informed, safe, and connected.
Right. Those are the good kind of notifications,
Yeah.
the ones that actually serve a purpose,
Yeah.
but then there are the others,
Right.
the ones that just suck you in and steal your time.
Those are the ones we need to be wary of. The ones that are designed to trigger our FOMO, our fear of missing out,
Yeah.
and keep us endlessly scrolling.
It's like they're playing on our deepest desires for connection and novelty. We're wired to crave those things.
Yeah.
And these companies know exactly how to exploit that.
They've got it down to a science. But remember, we still have the power to choose.
Okay.
We can turn off those non-essential notifications.
All right.
We can set boundaries around our screen time, and we can remind ourselves that real life is happening outside of our phones.
So it's about finding that balance.
Yeah.
Right? Embracing the benefits of technology without letting it control us.
Exactly. It's about being intentional with our phone use, just like we would be intentional with any other tool or technology.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But what about creativity? Doesn't all this time spent staring at our screens kill our creativity?
That's a common concern, but Christensen actually challenges that assumption.
Okay.
He argues that smartphones can be powerful tools for self-expression, just like having a personalized spaceship at your disposal.
A personalized spaceship for creativity. I like where this is going.
Right.
Tell me more.
Think about all the creative apps available on our phones.
Yeah.
You've got things like Apple's Freeform app, which is literally a digital blank canvas where you can sketch, write, brainstorm whatever you want.
Oh, yeah. Freeform is pretty cool. I've used it to map out ideas for podcasts before. It's great for visual thinkers.
Exactly. And then you've got the whole world of mobile photography. It's become a legitimate art form with its own awards and exhibitions.
Oh, wow.
Some of the photos people capture on their phones are absolutely stunning.
It's true. The mobile photography awards always blow me away. The creativity and technical skill on display are incredible.
Yeah.
And you don't need a fancy camera to participate, just your phone and your imagination.
Right. And it's not just about taking pretty pictures. Mobile photography can be a powerful tool for storytelling, for capturing moments, for documenting your unique perspective on the world.
It's like having a portable art studio in your pocket. You can create anytime, anywhere, inspired by whatever you encounter in your daily life.
I love that image. And it's not just about visual art either. There are so many apps that allow you to create music, write poetry, even code.
Like that app Christensen mentions, Octo Studio, right?
Yes. Octo Studio is a fantastic example of how smartphones can be used to nurture creativity, especially in kids.
Really?
It was developed by MIT Media Lab, and it teaches kids coding through fun, creative projects using animation and sound.
That's amazing. It's like sneaking education in while they're having fun.
Exactly. And that's the power of smartphones. They can be incredibly versatile tools for learning, creating, and connecting if we use them intentionally.
So instead of viewing our phones as creativity killers, maybe we should see them as potential creativity catalysts.
I think that's a much more empowering perspective. It's about reclaiming our agency, recognizing that we have the power to shape our digital experiences and use these tools to enhance our lives, not detract from them.
It's like choosing to build a spaceship that's designed for exploration and discovery,
Yeah.
rather than one that's just going to keep us stuck in orbit.
That's the perfect way to put it. So as we continue our deep dive into this complex digital galaxy, remember, you're the captain of your own spaceship.
I love that. We're the captains. We get to choose our destinations, our crewmates, and the adventures we embark on.
Exactly. And like any good captain, we need to be aware of the potential dangers,
Right.
the temptations and the distractions that might throw us off course. But with the right tools and mindset, we can navigate this vast digital landscape and make it work for us, not the other way around.
Okay, so we've explored the vastness of the digital landscape.
We have.
We've encountered some strange and fascinating creatures along the way.
I have.
And we've learned that we have more agency than we might think.
Mm-hmm.
But before we wrap up our deep dive, I'm curious, what does this all mean for us, the everyday phone users, navigating this digital galaxy? Any final thoughts before we wrap up our deep dive?
Well, just like a towel is essential for any hitchhiker.
Right.
Awareness is key when it comes to smartphone use.
Yeah.
We need to understand the forces at play, both personal and external,
Right.
that influence our relationship with our phones.
So we can't just blame ourselves for spending too much time scrolling.
Exactly. It's a complex interplay of personal, societal, and corporate motivations.
Right.
We need to be mindful of the algorithms and marketing tactics designed to keep us hooked.
Yeah.
But we also need to acknowledge the genuine benefits and opportunities our phones provide.
It's like finding that sweet spot, that balance between enjoying the convenience and staying in control.
Precisely. It's about being intentional with our phone use, choosing apps that align with our goals and values, and setting boundaries to protect our time and well-being. It's also about embracing the positive possibilities our phones offer, like connecting with loved ones, learning new things, and even expressing our creativity.
So instead of asking, is my phone making me stupid? Maybe we should be asking,
how can I use my phone to make me smarter, more connected, and more fulfilled?
I love that. It's a much more empowering perspective.
And it's a journey of continuous discovery, just like exploring the vastness of space. If you could design your ideal phone experience, what would it look like? What tools would you include? What traps would you avoid? And how would you make sure it serves you, not the other way around?
That's a great question to leave our listeners with.
Right.
It's like building your own personal spaceship perfectly tailored to your needs and aspirations.
Exactly. And remember, don't forget your towel. Just like in the Hitchhiker's Guide, awareness and preparedness are key to navigating this complex and ever-evolving digital landscape.
So true. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you've gained some valuable insights into the vast and often bewildering world of smartphone use.
It's been a pleasure exploring this fascinating topic with you. And to our listeners, we encourage you to continue the conversation. Share your thoughts, your experiences, and your own personal Hitchhiker's Guide to smartphone use.
Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and don't panic.